Redbeard was the first British tactical nuclear weapon. It was carried by the English Electric Canberra and the V-bombers of the Royal Air Force, RAF, and by the Blackburn Buccaneers, Sea Vixens and Supermarine Scimitars of the Royal Navy's, RN, Fleet Air Arm, FAA. Developed to operational requirement 1127, or .1127, it was introduced in 1961, entered service in 1962, and was withdrawn in 1971. Design. Redbeard was an unboosted fission weapon that used a composite core, mixed core in British terminology of the time. The composite core used both weapons-grade plutonium and weapons-grade uranium-235, and was intended to minimize the risk of pre-detonation that was a feature of all plutonium designs of that period with yields larger than 10 kilotons, kt. An added benefit of the composite core was a more economical use of fissile material. The design was tested twice during the Operation Buffalo series of nuclear trials at Maralinga in Australia, first on September 27, 1956, a 15 kt explosion, after which the resulting mushroom cloud rose to a height of 11,430 meters, 37,500 feet, and again on October 22, 1956. Although the design concept of Redbeard was similar to that of the Blue Danube warhead, an innovative means of implosion meant that its overall size could be significantly reduced. Its measurements were 3.66 meters, 12.0 feet, 144 in length, 0.71 meters, 2.3 feet, 28 in diameter, and a weight of approximately 1,750 pounds, 794 kilograms. Two versions were produced, the Mk.1, with a yield of 15 kilotons, and the Mk.2, with a yield of 25 kilotons. The Mk.2 was available in two variants, the number 1 used by high-altitude bombers, and the number 2 variant that was intended for low-level delivery by the toss bombing method, and its over-the-shoulder variant referred to as the Low-Altitude Bombing System, LABS. Redbeard's Royal Air Force and Royal Navy service designations were Bomb, Aircraft, He 2,000 pounds MC Mk.1 number 1. Bomb, Aircraft, He 2,000 pounds MC Mk.1 number 2. Bomb, Aircraft, He 2,000 pounds MC Mk.2 number 1. Bomb, Aircraft, He 2,000 pounds MC Mk.2 number 2. Weighing in at approximately 794 kilograms, 1,750 pounds, Redbeard was considerably lighter than the 2,000 pounds, 910 kilograms, official service designation, which was based on the original technical requirement. A significant improvement on Redbeard's predecessor, the Blue Danube, was in the provision of electrical power for the bomb firing mechanism, and the radar altimeter fusing. Blue Danube had used 6-volt lead-acid batteries that were unreliable, and had to be installed at the last minute before takeoff. There were also potential risks associated with stray electrical discharges to the firing mechanisms which might have led to accidental detonation. Redbeard used twin-ram air turbines located in the nose, from which there could be no stray discharges before bomb release. The air inlet can be seen in the extreme nose. They exhausted through blowout patches in the nose sides. Until bomb release, the weapon drew electrical power from the aircraft for heating and preheating of the radar fuses. Like Blue Danube, the body diameter at 0.71 meters, 2.3 feet, 28 in, was greater than was desirable relative to the overall length of 3.66 meters, 12.0 feet, 144 in. To compensate for this stubbiness, and quickly stabilize the bomb after release, Redbeard was equipped with flip-out tail fins that were activated pneumatically, triggered by a lanyard attached to the aircraft. As with Blue Danube, the fusing arrangements were composed of twin radar fuses that were activated by a barometric gate after release. The barometric gate ensured that the radar fuses only transmitted in the last few seconds of free fall, to a computed burst height, and this technique minimized the possibility of radar countermeasures disabling the radar fuses. There were backup contact and graze fuses to ensure bomb destruction in the event of a misfire. None of the variants were capable of being armed in flight of the fissile core. The core was inserted before takeoff, in a process referred to as last-minute loading. For carrier-borne aircraft, landing with the armed weapon was forbidden, and the aircraft would instead be diverted to a shore airbase. Although the Royal Navy required its Sea Vixen aircraft to be type-approved for Redbeard carriage as insurance against delays in the development of the Blackburn Buccaneer, the Sea Vixen never deployed in the nuclear strike role. Early models were subject to severe environmental limitations, especially when loaded into Royal Navy scimitars on exposed aircraft carrier decks in northern waters. The Mk.2 variants were better engineered to withstand extreme conditions, and other than the yield difference, this was the main area of difference. When the bomb was delivered by low-level toss bombing, the aircraft was almost always at a lower altitude than the burst height, so in effect, the bomb was not really dropped, but was released and flew upwards in a ballistic trajectory, to detonate when it reached the required altitude. Service. Royal Air Force stocks of Redbeard for the Canberra and V-bomber forces totaled 110. Of these, 48 were deployed in Cyprus to meet the UK's commitments to Central Treaty Organisation, CENTO, 48 were deployed in Singapore at RAF Tenga to meet commitments to Southeast Asia Treaty Organisation, CETO, and the remainder were located in the United Kingdom. Royal Navy stocks are believed, from archived declassified documents, to total 35 weapons, to be shared between 5 aircraft carriers, and shore-based supply and overhaul infrastructure. The carriers were thought, from similar sources, to each have an air-conditioned storage capacity for 5 Redbeard weapons. Before the Redbeard codename was issued in 1952, it was frequently referred to in official documents as the Javelin Bomb, because it was originally conceived as a weapon for the thin-wing Javelin bomber, a projected derivative of the thick-wing Gloucester Javelin all-weather fighter. The designation target marker bomb was a euphemism used to disguise the nature of the bomb, so that its dimensions and weights etc. could be circulated to aircraft and aircraft equipment designers, without compromising security. It was replaced by the WE.177 in the early 1970s. John Dolphin. Whilst chief engineer at the Atomic Weapons Research Establishment, AWRE, Aldermaston, John Dolphin, CBE worked on the Redbeard trigger mechanism. Subsequently, in July 1959, Dolphin requested an ex gratia financial award for his work on the weapon, but was turned down. His claim was that although it was not his job to do so, he invented the rotary hotline device that eventually became the trigger for the Redbeard bomb, and which was used in all subsequent thermonuclear bombs. He further stated that his invention brought to an end the deadlock in meeting the specification for the Redbeard, and that he had to overcome serious opposition against the senior scientists whose job did include the brief for its invention. His claim was refused on the grounds that as a chief engineer, it was within the scope of his duties.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.